illuminating white text appears that says, "A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away." Now, curvy golden yellow text stationary in the middle of the screen with stars flying by through hyperspace that reads, "Theory of a Blind Man." Golden yellow text begins to crawl from the bottom of the screen upwards. Episode 2, The Live Stream Strikes Back. After the separation of content uploads and live streams, this channel is dedicated to live streaming guests, gaming, proclivities and pondering of the fate of the galaxy. Darth Whistler reigns over these channels and his message will be heard with the help of many others presenting information for all to absorb. The text continues to crawl away from view deep into the infinity of space. For those of you willing to watch and listen to live streaming and participate in the chat, the live stream strikes back at a new upload channel with prizes and galactic credits to make you rebels come rich beyond your wildest dreams. But Darth Whistler is not satisfied until the triad of the Force has been completed, and so there lays another in wait deep in space and will soon be revealed. May the dark side of the Force be with you. As the last of the text disappears, we are left with stars flying by view in hyperspace, then fade to black.
Anyway, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday, July 31st. Last day of the month of July. About time. Now we're already going to be in August, so this year's going by quick. The year of 2020. Full vision and clarity. You guys never saw this coming. I got some exciting stories coming up pretty soon, having to do with blind porn. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Anyway, tonight's show, We'll See for Work, is rescheduled for next week because I want to have the full panel here. So tonight joining me is the Blind Jedi, a.k.a. Independently Blind, a.k.a. Jason, a.k.a. Independently Blonde, and also Jesse Anderson from Illegally Sighted. What's up, guys?
What's happening?
Guys.
Hey, it's going pretty good.
Good. Welcome, Nicole. Welcome, Blind Toes. I don't know if there's anybody else here.
Nicole, Blind Toes.
But
how's the camel?
Yeah, camel toe in the house. Does your camel also have a cane so you can get around and find the watering hole?
And it begins.
Anyway, yeah. So tonight we're going to talk about something that just came up today that I found. And there's this petition going around. Let me turn up my headphones. There we go. Going around where YouTube is getting rid of community contributions for closed captioning in your YouTube studio. And this will take place in September 28th, 2020. So this petition that's going around, which already has just under 100,000 signatures. Now, the petition is basically saying that it goes against ADA and all this other stuff. One thing that I want to make clear is that YouTube has 3 other options besides community contributed closed captioning, which is basically someone can submit closed captioning for a video of yours. So they send you a closed captioned file and you add it to your video. Or you can do it yourself. That's the manual option. Then there's the automatic option, which YouTube takes care of. And then you can always go for a third-party option, which you have to pay for services. Now, the original tweet that I saw or read made it seem like that YouTube is getting rid of closed captioning and you have to pay for a service to close caption the video for you. So I thought that was a little disingenuous to start, and that's kind of why I got down this path. But again, I really can't find anything that is, how would I say it, is beneficial for YouTube to continue to have community contributions. 0.001% of YouTube creators actually use this feature. 0.002% of watch time includes closed captioning submitted by community contributions. There are actually more complaints of people spamming them with closed captioning versus actual helpful contributions. The particular guy that I was twatting with, he was saying that it helps him and he has to approve the submitted contribution. But then he goes on to say, well, but I haven't used it in years, so I'm not exactly sure. Like, you haven't used it in years, yet you signed this thing. There's also a couple other people too, like when I posted, like, hey, I just read the petition, I just read the article by YouTube, and it doesn't say anything about getting rid of closed captioning. And you won't believe how many people respond with, oh, well, I didn't read it, I just signed it.
Of course not.
Like, wow, alrighty then. So
That's why media is what it is today.
right, exactly. So what are your guys' thoughts on closed captioning in general and the I don't know if you've ever utilized it yourselves, but the community contribution closed captions?
Well, I think, closed captioning is definitely important, especially as an accessibility issue. And I don't use closed captioning myself, I guess primarily because I can't really see well enough to read the closed captions to begin with. But, people who are deaf or hard of hearing, or people who, maybe, I know a lot of people who play games or watch movies or TV with closed captions on because maybe there's a lot of stuff going on in the background at their home or work, or, they need to keep the television quiet. Mm-hmm. So there's any number of reasons, both for accessibility wise and even just, helping everybody. So I think on the base level, closed captioning is very important for those who are able to make use of it.
I agree. Closed captioning is important. Closed captioning is still, like I said, it's still going to be there. But the only person that I've heard so far complain about it is that the automatic closed captioning is not that accurate. And I found that anytime that I turn on closed captioning, that it seems to be pretty accurate because, I can hear it while voiceover is reading the closed captioning. So it's, from my experience, the automatic is pretty accurate.
I guess I haven't really tried the closed captioning, the auto captioning on my videos. I've thought about it, especially for certain ones. Like, if I was going to do any of them, I think it would be more of some of my formal ones where I've done, like the game accessibility presentation that I uploaded a month or two ago, and a few other ones like that, because those are meant to be more like presentation style. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as like third parties doing it, I can see if you have a fairly big operation, and like, I don't know, I was trying to research this a little bit beforehand, and what I'm kind of unsure about is, it depends on who is helping the YouTube creator. If they're not doing the captions themselves, like let's say they have a team or they contract with someone to do the closed captioning. I know YouTube has things where you can make other people basically editors of your channel. They don't own the channel, but they, they're given higher privileges so they can actually add or edit content. And I'm wondering, if the company or the person who is doing the captioning, if they had that level of access, they could manually do the closed captioning. So it's maybe just getting rid of the anonymous captioning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's sort of what I was trying to figure out, or what I was wondering.
For my experience, I actually do listen and watch a deaf YouTuber. I've been watching her for a while. I found her through the blind community at one of those YouTube events for
Okay.
accessibility that I used to watch back in the day. So she obviously uses it. I don't know for sure. I would have to research it, so I don't want to speak on her behalf when it comes to her channel. But I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised
Whoa.
if someone at her skill level would not use a third party, probably because it's more accurate. I found, and I'll just say one word for everybody, and you should understand the stuff that YouTube offers is hit and miss. So, like, I don't know, Google Hangout. I mean, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. One of the second largest search engines, one of the most popular platforms for video creators, and Google Hangout was one of the worst streaming options of all time. So sometimes YouTube creates things that are not, and they probably know this too, right? There's better options. Why should we have it offered when people can still add it to their videos if they want to, or automatically use the one that's provided to read, accurate or not? You know, I understand both sides of the coin. I think people get used to being able to, like, as a creator, every time they switch the studio, especially when you're trying to use voiceover or any other type of accessibility tool, when they change things around, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I think that would probably be the biggest problem, but it's not going against ADA law, and I think that's where we should primarily put our focus.
That's what I'm thinking too. Like right now, I just pulled up Jesse, one of your videos, and put the mute on and turn closed captioning on. It's all right. It's all right. The automated one. So I guess
I heard a little bit of music from the recent videos. I was like, oh, okay, hi.
Yeah, I was gonna put it on the when I get to the screen sharing part to give an example.
Sure. And that plays off exactly what I just said, right? So it's okay. It's not going to be that great. So for the deaf community, and I know there's one that exists, they're going to want better, right? And I even watch a guy named Tim Tracker. He's a vlogger, does a lot of Disney World. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and he understands the community. So he even did one where he was wearing a mask down at their downtown Disney or whatever they call it over there, and he was having people comment, and he addressed it that, hey, I know that my deaf community would like me to see if I could find a clear mask so they could read my lips. So there are creators that pay close attention to their audience and what they're saying. So and it I remember when I heard that, I'm like, man, I haven't done it still, but I have to be more mindful. I need to make a checklist. You know, if there's an accessible option that I could put in my videos, especially being a disabled YouTuber, I think I should be using it, right? Like, I think I should be, you know.
Right. I've kind of been considering something similar as well, at least for, like I said, at least for the stuff that's more formal. And I think, like, a lot of the videos that I do, like the one that he had up there for just a split second was, you know, it can be a little trickier with that type of thing because you have a lot of not just the person speaking, but then you have this, like, game footage going on in the background. And it's interesting to see how well the auto captioning will pick up on, you know, like with all the different audio and noises and music and stuff in the background.
Well, so you had the music in the beginning, and it did say music. All it said was music. It didn't say background music. It didn't say foreground music. Anything like that. It just said just music. So visually, I don't know if there are, like, because I remember back in the day when I used to see closed captioning on, there'd be a little symbol before and after a word that described something besides spoken word. So, for example, star music star, or carrot star carrot, something like that.
Oh, right. Yep.
You know, so the deaf person who is visually, or does not have a visual impairment, I guess, would know that, okay, that's something going on besides the talking. Welcome, El Albino. How are you doing?
And that's the other point too, right? Is, I mean, we're coming from a perspective of blind and visually impaired, and there's a whole nother community out there that view closed captioning the way that we view audio description and voiceover.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things I also wanted to kind of say is, like, you know, we can't forget that, you know, and I've seen a lot of people say this recently on even Twitter and things like that, where, we can't forget that, let's say we're doing like, a lot of the stuff that I work on is advocacy and consulting and stuff for accessibility. And we can't forget that, I'm not, yes, I mainly advocate and work on projects for blind, visually impaired, but if I have the chance, hey, I'll advocate for any type of accessibility, mobility, hearing, cognitive, whatever, because that's what we do.
Yeah, we need to advocate for each other. It's a team effort for sure.
Definitely.
Right. Yep.
Danny
right on.
Marie AUC is in the house. Welcome. And no, you're not
Danny.
going to have to. Well, okay. There are programs that you can use to pay for closed captioning. But like I said in the beginning, you may not have been here. There's still the two options of manual or automatic. So being that you have somewhat sight, and it's your videos, we as content creators could actually make our own closed caption files, edit them, or publish them to the video as well. So we still have that option.
Right, and that's what I was wondering is like if you have somebody else that you've added to your channel, like let's say you're running like a small business or some kind of a thing where you have multiple people releasing video or editing and doing stuff for videos.
Oh, like a channel manager or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they're included in that group, then like you might not do the channel. You might do that. You might not do the captions yourself, if I can talk correctly. But then you might have that other manager role as somebody who would be able to do that. So it's not a complete lost cause at the very least.
And then a lot of that is obviously going to be based off your popularity and how big your channel is and some of the actual abilities you have to pay someone to do these types of things or even get the software or because it's a whole nother world that I'm not fully familiar with, but it goes hand in hand. I think the deaf community is often like when you really get into this topic, it goes beyond closed captioning, right? Like you start to think, wow, man, if I was deaf like I am blind, because deaf is a spectrum too. The girl that I watch, by the way, her name's Ricky Pointer. If you want to go check out her channel, it's pretty cool. She would be the I don't know, how would you say visually impaired from the deaf, right? So she has partial hearing in one ear, but it's not a lot. So you could tell when she talks because she talks in signs and does all that. So it's so it's a spectrum as well. I mean, we often think, well, deaf is you either can't hear at all, right? That's not the case. So
no, absolutely not. And I mean, I work with we have clients at work who are we serve visually impaired, blind, and deafblind, and that can all, like you said, that can be on the spectrum. I've worked with people who are totally blind and low vision, totally deaf and totally blind, and then also they have some hearing, but they also have a vision impairment. So yeah, everything's on a spectrum.
Let's do a little thought experiment. Let's say YouTube comes out with new guidelines for video uploads, which includes a fully accessible to all persons with disabilities features on your videos. Before you upload, you have to go through this checklist to make it fully accessible to everyone. So we know personally of audio description and closed captioning. So what other features do you think would need to be implemented for a fully accessible video?
Interesting. So audio description, voiceover, closed captioning.
What about, let's say, because Danny's in the chat, photophobia. So would there have to be also a dimmer switch or something like dark mode,
They should, exactly. Because, most iPads and phones, and you could adjust stuff on your computer, but what about a TV, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that actually just made me think of the other thing that you want to make sure as a content creator that you don't have any content. I don't remember exactly what the frequency level is, but like you really want to avoid very fast strobing lights because that definitely for epilepsy.
Yeah, it could trigger
God,
seizures,
I cannot talk tonight. Yeah, epilepsy.
It's okay, Jesse. We got your back.
Yet I watch some of my videos, Jesse.
Oh, yeah. I have like 18 thoughts in my head, and I can't spit them out quickly enough, so I'm just like, durr.
I just go with it.
Exactly. But yeah, that's definitely another concern that once you said that, I remembered. Definitely a thing we want to consider.
Danny Marie says making YouTube accessible to viewers will in effect make it inaccessible to creators. Inaccessible to creators? I don't know about that. I think it'd be, I don't know. Like for me, still, I have to use two platforms to operate to get everything done that I need to get done on YouTube. So I'm still stuck on VoiceOver and JAWS or Nvda. Matter of fact, there are some things, for example, on the Windows side of things, sometimes the category box, drop-down box works with JAWS and sometimes it doesn't. Fortunately, it works all the time with Nvda. The live tab is still inaccessible on VoiceOver, so if I want to monetize, if I want to monetize a video, I have to do that on a Windows computer. It's really annoying.
Yeah, so there's a lot that needs to be fixed, and I think that YouTube, and I will say this, and I'll be on record to say this, I think YouTube has strayed a bit away from some of the accessibility focus that they had.
Yeah, I agree.
I told you, there's a lot of people that I follow that are blind that I found from this random video. And I can't even remember how, it's been so many years ago. Like, and I've talked about this so many times before. They had a special YouTube conference for accessibility, and it was all these creators, wheelchairs, deaf, blind, you name it, were all at this convention, and they were able to collab together, and it was booming. I felt it was booming, and I think that YouTube felt like it wasn't lucrative enough to have a convention because maybe there wasn't enough. But that's where I challenge everybody that wants to be creators, and we've talked about this all the time, being YouTubers that are blind, not blind YouTubers, and just really put that message back out there that being a YouTuber that's disabled and not a disabled YouTuber to really motivate. Because I'll tell you right now, the blind community alone has grown so much on YouTube. That's a huge convention in itself, let alone, God. I'm sure, like all the other disabilities are starting to make more content as well.
Well, that's just it. When I, believe it or not, like I said, I started my YouTube channel in 2012. And I probably, if anything, I don't know if I knew more than, I think there were maybe a couple people that I knew of. But largely, I think that I might have been, and I could be totally wrong. I could be absolutely wrong about this, but it felt like, just kind of searching around out there and seeing what else was being done. It seemed like I was kind of one of the fewer ones out there. And now you have like totally blind, visually impaired. There's hundreds of blind and disabled creators and streamers and Mixer, well, rest in peace Mixer, but Twitch and everything.
And it's supply and demand. And I think that the petition, you got 100,000 people recognizing the closed captioning so far, right? Now, if they can take that 100,000 people and multiply it through many different layers of disabled individuals that either watch YouTube or create on YouTube, and make it more of a focus about, look, this community exists and we want it to grow, and hey, fix your platform to help us grow. I think that should be more of the message than, hey, you're taking something away that I can get somewhere else, but the convenience is here. And I understand that part totally. If you're a real creator like me and Whistler, it would drive me nuts. I'll look into it. I definitely need to start looking into it. But if that closed captioning wasn't right, I wouldn't want to use it.
True.
Well, yeah, and we all hate change, but I'm glad there are at least other ways to do it. Like I said, just about 2-3 weeks ago, they got rid of the kind of classic uploader feature for YouTube, which I preferred, and now I'm just like, well, okay, I guess I'm stuck using. I got to use the new YouTube Studio uploader, and I much preferred the old way, but hey, I made it work. I figured it out.
I did for the longest time too, until that day came where this says you no longer have access to legacy uploader. I was like, damn it, I'll have to learn it. And now I actually like it a lot. I like it a lot. It's nice and quick. It's easy. You get all the information you need to get. Like it tells you when the SD processing is done versus the HD processing. So that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've been learning that this week.
The only thing I wasn't really sure of, and maybe like, I know on the first screen you can do the title, the description, you can put it in a playlist, but on the wizard part, I don't know if I skipped it or whatever, and like, where do you add tags? Because I have to do that once I have it uploaded, and then go in to edit my video. I can do it, but I haven't found it in the initial upload wizard, so I might have just...
You scroll down. I saw it.
It's on the same
last
page
night I saw
as
it.
the description and title.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Apparently I was oblivious, and I must have missed it because I'm
well,
like,
you could hit the next button before you go down. That's part of it. The next button just sits there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the... Yeah, I mean, it makes sense once it's not bad at all once you figure it out, but like at first it's like, this is for that reason.
I hadn't uploaded videos in probably 4 or 5 years, and I did it for the first time Sunday night. I was sitting there uploading a video, and it literally took me 2 hours. I was so green. And the idea was to put it as a premiere video to launch Monday morning at 9. And then all of a sudden I get this update. It's Whistler. Oh, cool. Me, man. I'm like, okay, I did that wrong.
I haven't even played with the scheduling yet. I haven't even done that rabbit hole yet.
That, I will say, is far more accessible than it used to be.
Yeah.
The whole date and time, edit fields. Before, on the classic uploader, you could either type in the date, but it had to be exactly right. So, spelling of the month, the day, comma, year. Or if you just click on it, it brings up like this floating calendar. Voiceover, I know you have to do the Shift VO spacebar on the day that you want in order for it to actually take place. But now it's simple. You click on it, type in the day, and it autofills for you, or you click on the day and the calendar that pops up below.
Yeah, so I think in the big scheme of things, I would say again that advocating for accessibility across the board, and it's weird to think that we would have to advocate to a community that is disabled, but sometimes we just need to refocus ourselves, and I think that's that the deaf community right now, because I'm thinking that's primarily the people that are having the biggest issue with this, needs to focus and reach out, and maybe we reach out. I have a Twitter, maybe I'll figure out how to use it and join the party. But I mean, just kind of take the narrative and refocus it and say, hey guys, let's across the board, back. I mean, that was the thing that drove me to Ricky Pointer and some of the other people that I was watching, is that they were cross collabing. So it wasn't just the blind community like a clique hanging out at this convention like, hey, it's the blind YouTubers. Oh, hey, here goes the deaf people, and throwing up gang signs and stuff and making it about, choosing a side, right?
Yeah.
It was they came together, they were going to each other's rooms and doing these collab videos and talking about the similarities and differences of being disabled in this world and on YouTube. And I was like, dude, this was fantastic. It was good video stuff. Bringing that part of it back would make YouTube and the community more aware of what's going on YouTube.
Yeah.
And at the same time though, I do think, like I said, I don't want to, and I won't presume to speak for, let's say, the deaf community or the deaf and hard of hearing community, because I don't understand, some of their issues that they have. So I don't want to speak on their behalf either.
Correct.
Well, they wouldn't be. I won't say it. Oh, disability joke.
I think I know where you were going with that.
It's
okay to joke on ourselves,
and
but maybe we should joke on others.
Man,
why don't you just keep quiet there, buddy?
I withheld the joke. That's just amazing. Danny says, I schedule all my videos, but you guys know I don't use a screen reader. Yep. So, what else?
Admittedly, I do cheat a lot, and I do use magnification. Usually, I don't do a whole lot. Occasionally, I'll do Like I'll release videos that are already uploaded on from my phone, but typically, I just cheat and use my vision because I can.
Well, that's a good point. That's the whole spectrum thing, and I admit too,
Exactly.
I use both because
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna
absolutely.
be honest with you. Like people think, oh, you can use magnifier, that's cool, and it's like,
I would think it's more
sometimes
of a headache than anything.
it is.
Right.
Sometimes
Oh,
it's
it can
easier to
be.
navigate with voiceover and to sit there and get yourself dizzy using your mouse, scrolling your screen around 30 times
Oh,
just to find the next
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
button.
I mean, well, and it's weird because like when I meet with blind and visually impaired people at work, our clients, and it's really interesting because they'll ask me how I do things, and like you said, it's on a spectrum, and you know I do use magnification a lot, but at the same time, I use a screen reader also a lot. Like on my phone, I'll pretty much just use VoiceOver for anything textual. On
Mm-hmm.
my computer, I'll use a lot of keyboard commands and shortcuts and stuff like that. But as a low vision user, I love, like Explore by Touch on iPhone or on the computer, JAWS or NVDA or Narrator, the mouse echo feature where you just move your mouse over whatever you want on the screen and then your screen reader of choice just speaks what's under your mouse. That is a lifesaver for me.
Explore by
That sounds
touch.
fantastic.
Yeah, explore by touch is my way to go. Matter of fact, I'm going to suggest a explore by touch on Pornhub's accessibility side of things.
There it goes.
I think that'd be great. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and ship you Katie tomorrow, so you can explore
Let
by
me just,
touch.
yeah, as long as it's a solo, because you'd hate to have to hit the wrong explore by touching the wrong thing.
Yeah. But the idea of learning text to speech is a bit overwhelming. That's where I'm at. Yeah, it can be. Like when I first started
Oh,
using a screen reader, it's just like, well, I'm never gonna get this. And then a week later, after just repetitive use, you get it.
Yeah.
what I will say, I did teach technology for a few years in my previous job, and I'll help out people a little bit in my current one, in addition to what I normally do. But like, I would say, navigating Windows or the Mac or, your average like word processing software, that isn't so bad because you typically are dealing with like fixed documents and
Mm-hmm.
layouts. The internet by far, when you're talking about screen readers, I would say the internet, like, and you can't teach like, oh, this is how you navigate a web page. Like, there's no set way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, you almost have to, like, you have to know your screen reader commands, like your quick navigation keys,
Right.
your letters and stuff like that. But you also, to really be able to be an efficient web screen reader user, you have to kind of have a base understanding of what type of information you're looking for and
Yeah.
basic HTML code to be like, oh, if I want to search for something, I know I need to look for an edit box, or I might
Right.
need to look for a list or a table or a heading. Those are ones that I use regularly all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's tricky. In each website, you have to do your own, like each website has its own sort of
Format.
yeah, format. So you refigure out that process for every website that you
Yeah.
visit, which
That's-
can be daunting.
when I go to a new website, the first thing that I do is I'll read it from top to bottom, their homepage, so I get an idea of their generalized layout of their site map,
Their style.
their style. Yeah,
Hmm.
that helps out a lot.
It depends what I'm looking for. Like I said, a lot of times, like if I'm looking for something, I know I need to find a search. If I know it's something that I'm going to need to log into, or if it's like I want to, like maybe I go to The Verge and I want to read some news stories, I typically try to navigate by heading. So it just depends on what type of thing. And sometimes if I know that I'm looking for like a page that has like a bunch of like data, I'll often look for a table because it's often presented that way, and I can skip all the crap I don't want. So it's kind of me. I focus more on like a task-based approach,
Yeah.
but that's my style, and it's cool. Like everyone has to develop their own, and that's the trickiest part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's really important too when you're coming up learning a screen reader is to also understand how the screen reader works. It's it's all based off code. So whether it be a program, an application, or a website, it's all reading the code in the background, not what you necessarily visually see. And that's kind of the trip about screen readers and how sometimes we can actually get work done. I think that was estimated at like 13% faster than a sighted person, just based off keyboard commands. So
Oh God, yeah.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. So that
I see it
conceptual
every day at work.
foundation. Yeah, there you go. Speaking of work, I may have a job.
I know.
Ooh, there you go.
Another one. Oh, you already know, Jason?
No.
Oh.
What would you find?
Yes.
It may be I'm probably in like stage 3, I guess you could say, of the process. But remote AT.
Remote AT.
Okay. Like support kind of, or
No,
training?
accessible training. Yeah.
Oh,
Huh.
okay. I think you'd be good at that. Yeah.
I know he's good at it.
Now, here's a crazy thing. They already know about my YouTube channel. And one of the comments was, yeah, I looked at your YouTube channel, but it doesn't really seem relevant. I'm like, you missed all the tutorial videos, all the walkthroughs.
You gotta look. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had to. Well, your channel
I got a
is
playlist.
beyond tutorials. So
I was just gonna say, and
Yeah.
you have everything divided into
Yeah.
playlist, if I remember correctly. Yeah, and I do
Yeah.
the same thing. Like if I meet with people where I'm like the XR Access thing the other week, I'm like, dude, just check out these 2 or 3 playlists. These are what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta do some newer ones too, because I got like Jaws 18. I haven't done 2020 yet, but. So, let's get back to the thought experiment. So we got audio description, we got low vision, and we got closed captioning. What else do you think would need to be necessary for a fully accessible video that the content creator has to provide? Oh, that was another thing I was going to go back on really quick is, do you think that YouTube should be the ones responsible for providing accessible features on your video, or do you think it should be up to the content creator?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, to be honest with you. I think that
Right.
YouTube's entitled by ADA law to have that ability there for certain ones, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to the content creator if they want to use them. But
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think you could force somebody to have content that fits you.
Right.
But if that's why I thought that Tim Tracker. I thought when I saw him address his deaf audience that way, I was like, dude, you're awesome. I liked watching you before, obviously, but man, the fact that you took that into consideration, lets you know his character, right? So I think that kind of goes back to advocating and just really putting it out there that we're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're here.
Right.
We're watching you. I often comment on their videos, but I think they, if they pay attention to my tag, independently blind, it's kind of a neat name. Do you realize I'm blind? Like, click it. I know not every YouTuber is going to have time for that, but I think it really comes down to their character.
Yeah.
Well, and as far as like providing the captioning and stuff, or the accessibility features, not just limiting it to captioning, but the other thing too is, there's also a difference between, if you're just like a single person doing like a few just, vlog videos or something, there's kind of a difference of like, and even developers when they're developing apps or software, it's like, how, there's a difference between like knowing the basics of like, okay, I know there's like such thing as described audio description or captioning, but how to do it so it's there and how to do it well.
Mm.
Kind of an amateur professional
Right.
level sort of a thing.
Yeah, that is interesting. I think one of those for audio description.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I mean that, especially for YouTube, that's really tough. It can be fine if you do it yourself, or you have someone do it for you and upload that as an audio track, and then they could have, for example, on the player, instead of CC, they could also have, or not instead of, but also have DVS or whatever the acronym is these days. I don't even know. They change it so many times. But if it's offered, then it could at least be accessed. Hey, Shine, how's it going?
But it comes down to, when it comes down to audio description, it's so hard because that's become its own new field for people who could read script, basically.
Yeah.
And kind of do so. I mean, that's a whole different enemy. Like for us to put it in our videos, it's going to take hiring somebody
Yes.
or having the ability to do it ourselves, which for all of us is not going to be the easiest thing to do.
Well,
It can be done for sure.
Right, and I mean, like, I could probably do it for a video, but like, I'm visually impaired, and I've listened to many audio described TV shows or movies, and I couldn't write a good script to be, that's an art to do audio description well, and based on the timing of the video.
A majority of those are literally read from the script.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's
But somebody has to write that script.
Mhm. Correct.
No. I mean the script of the movie.
Yeah, because in the script, when an actor gets a script, it just doesn't say their lines. It says their line in the scene, so they're just reading the scene part
right,
of
and blocking and stuff like that.
Yeah. But again, you got some. I was gonna say screen readers, but audio describers that go a little above and beyond. You'll get more detail, or sometimes you'll get even too much detail. I'm trying to remember the movie that had horrible
and the way they read it too.
Yeah. And the way they read. Oh, Gangs of New York, that was horrible.
Yeah. And like I said, that's just it. It's like if I'm playing like a really fast twitchy game where I'm shooting dudes and whatever, it's like, how do you write a script for that? Of like, the guy jumps and he shoots the dude in the face, then he spins around and does this other thing, and then another guy, and then like it would just be this constant like hyperactive string of lunacy is basically what it would turn into.
Yeah, if you ever watch any martial arts martial arts movies and listen to the description, it's just like nonstop. Non-stop talking. Just like, oh.
Exactly.
And I've often challenged myself. Now, I'm not a guy that likes to script my videos. I just don't. I just never been that guy. Chalk it up to not wanting to read a script or finding ways to do it to I like speaking from the heart. That's always been the type of person that I am. But
same here.
I often sit there and try to remind myself, man, I need to be more descriptive in my videos. But at the same time, I always forget to ask people to like, comment, and subscribe, and to do all this other stuff too. So it's not like I'm avoiding or don't recognize that people that watch my channel are totally blind. It's just, man, I get so you guys already know I ramble a lot. So once I get going, the last thing I'm thinking about is like, I need to describe the scene fully, or I need to ask people to do this or that in my videos. So it's something that I definitely want to change by myself, because I want to be more descriptive in my video, especially when I'm describing like the scooter, for example. I didn't ever describe it good enough. I need to like do a better job of saying this is what this thing is.
And that is definitely one of the conscious things that I've also been trying to, improve on, just of like describing things better. I've been told by a few people that I do a pretty good job of it, but there's still cases where I'm like, I probably could have done that better, because like you, I don't come in with a script. I have a rough idea what I'm going to say. Yeah. But, going into tonight, I had no idea what we were going to talk about. I just babble off whatever.
That's my
word nerd. Welcome, word nerd. He said some audio describers actually right there on the scripts. Yep, sure do. Danny Marie. Oh, I'm watching Westworld with... No. If I don't know about HBO. HBO Go may have description. I'm not sure, but I know Netflix has the option. Oh, HBO Go does?
I don't know if they do it for all their content, but I went through the whole Game of Thrones and it had it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I have an HBO subscription through Amazon, so if I go to the Amazon Video app, I can go through it through there, and I haven't checked to see if stuff is described through that or not, but I can look at some point.
I have... I got a free subscription trial with my internet service, so I'll give it a try too with HBO. You don't have to buy the DVDs, but again, there is that website, usually about a year out before you actually get a new movie. But oh Jesus, Blind Mice Movie Vault.
Yeah, that's right.
The other, and surprisingly, I've noticed that even videos that I don't think had audio description, I think retroactively, I think Amazon's been like, because I that's where I do a lot of my digital. If I'm going to buy a movie or rent a movie or something, I usually do it through them, and they've added a ton of audio described content for movies that I didn't even know, like even older stuff. So they've been getting pretty good about that.
No, I know that Disney Plus. I remember when I first got it. Now there's certain things that I watched that they have yet to do it with, but I was surprised. I watched Steamboat Willie, which is the Mickey Mouse original one, where when he was introduced, and it was audio described, and I was like,
cool.
That's cool. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah,
this is awesome.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, they got some old ones out there like Casablanca, Quiet Band, all those old. A lot of those old movies are described. The word nerd says that there's an illegally described version of Westworld, and I don't know how you get an like someone stole Westworld and say, "Hey, I'm going to describe this."
Well, I mean, depending on where you watch it, I think that's where it could be illegal, right? Because if you're selling it or doing it on YouTube,
right.
you got those kind of laws. I would make it illegal, I guess. But
yeah. Or else somebody just ripped the legal version and then is selling it or uploading it, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
So, what other accessibility features would we need to have?
It's tough. I try to think maybe some type of that would be for the phone probably more than anything, with like a vibration trigger. Some people like that for music, like deaf people, for example, right? It's more than just having the music symbol. Sometimes they could feel the music.
Gotcha.
On their phone.
And one thing that I know you can do, but I haven't actually looked into figuring out how to do it, is adding like chapters to your videos. So if you're covering more than one topic, you can kind of basically like jump to specific sections easier.
Yeah. Jason,
you just timestamp it, I believe.
There are so in Final Cut Pro, you can actually add those chapter markers and label them and describe them with alt text, and then upload it directly from Final Cut Pro, and it'll include all that metadata.
I don't have a Mac.
In the description box.
What's that?
In the description box.
You have to fill out the description box, but you can say things like, "Hey, it's now described," or, I mean, closed captioned or whatever.
Okay.
So you'll actually have text frames, a CC box, as one of the options
to add to your video.
To add to the video in Final Cut Pro.
Nice.
Yeah, I would have to figure out some other way to do it in Windows or through YouTube itself, because I don't use a Mac.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. No, I'm not sure. The word nerd says no. I think UK has stricter rules on ADA. Westworld and Game of Thrones are the only two shows that I know of.
Oh.
Interesting. Yeah, I have noticed that too, the word nerd. He says a lot of the videos are British described. And that is kind of interesting.
True.
Yeah, they that's because, like they said, they used to do, they were ahead of us as far as getting audio description a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And so they've been doing it for a lot longer, so that's why we hear a lot more, until recently anyway, a lot more British.
Doesn't bother me none.
No.
Now, if I could just get like a Northern Carolinian female to describe it, I'd be set. Then I think I'd be okay with blindpornhub.com.
Oh my goodness.
I can't find any audio descriptions at all on HBO Max, says Danny. That sucks.
Well, and the weird thing is too, is like, that's the other thing, is on, if let's say something is an HBO program, what also could be interesting is how that's being delivered. Is it HBO Go, Now, Max?
Right.
Are you getting it through Apple TV subscription, Amazon subscription? And they may have different accessibility features. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it's been known to happen. So,
right.
If you get one of these, if you don't do it directly through, let's say, an HBO type of subscription, if you do it through like a third party like Apple or Google or Amazon, maybe there's some variation there. I don't know if that's the case.
You just need to have the option to turn on that audio track, and if HBO's app doesn't have it, but another app does, then you should be able to hear the audio track.
The thing is, and now this is where that gray area is, and this is where it's going to be contradicting to what we're talking about when it comes to YouTube. For me, HBO Max on the phone and the app should have that feature. once I see that another company can do it, Netflix, Disney Plus, for example, that I know has it,
Mhm.
there's no reason why HBO Max on the phone should not, it should be fully accessible in that way.
Well,
They should have it done.
Well, yeah, it can be offered via the provider or through the technology itself. Does the provider offer it, and also does the technology platform that you're using offer it?
Correct.
So it's
oh wow.
it can be complemented.
HBO explicitly states that they do not have audio description content.
Oh, really?
Why would they be that? I don't understand how a company could just be so brash and be like, hey, guess what?
Yeah, that seems kind of.
I think even what's the other one? Skinemax has description.
I have no idea.
And they have such
Somebody's
good shows,
dog
and I could have
agrees.
sworn Game of Thrones I had audio description, but maybe I didn't. I could be mistaken. Obviously, I am mistaken because Danny read flat out they don't have it.
Apparently, Hulu has no audio description either.
Yeah,
No.
that reminds me. I got to remember to cancel my subscription to that.
Hulu is primarily owned now by Disney, not fully. So I'm hoping that changes.
See, the weird thing is I remember they had that deal where you could get like Disney Plus and Hulu and ESPN, but the problem is that particular subscription, it was still if you paid for that, you still had commercials. And so if I were going to subscribe to, let's say, Disney again, I would just do it through them because then I get everything ad free. Right now I'm sitting on a 1 year free from Verizon that I have. So
the streaming wars are probably going to get even better now that pandemic is lasting and everybody's at home. So
it's already confusing. Like, well, HBO alone, look at that. I mean, they got like I said, was it Now and Then?
Now,
and
Max, Go.
Yeah, Now, Then, Go, Here, There. I don't know. There's like so many of them.
Ooh.
And I don't know what the differences are between them all. It's so crazy.
Word Nerd, you might want to try to post that link again because I don't see anything in the chat. I know links have to be approved by a moderator, so any mods out there, if you see that link, please approve it. Thank you.
And again, so he was talking about how their ADA laws are strict, and how he has Game of Thrones and Westworld over there audio described. Now, if it exists out there, there should be no problem implementing it here.
Right.
So it doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well,
what is their beef with it?
Well, the problem is that's where you get this antiquated, like the way that videos and stuff have already been done. Like, when you get a DVD player or a Blu-ray player, let's say, you have this region encoding crap. So you got your, region free, or we're region 1, and then you've got like Japan, and it like, oh, you're allowed to stream, or and then not even just that, like region wise, but like you also have like you're able to have like purchase rights but not streaming rights, and it's a mess. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I just found out last week when I had Toby on that the UK, the UK region, their PlayStations don't have text to speech because of that.
Yeah, I don't know if so they don't have text to speech on the dashboard at all.
Nope.
Oh wow. And so I wonder if there's no text to speech in that version of the OS, then does that mean Last of Us does not work at all?
No,
with text to speech?
It does because it's got its own engine.
Because I thought it hooked into like the PS4's kind of API. I didn't know how it did it.
From what I understand, the only point that it touches API, the PS4's API, is to say that whether or not you use accessibility features.
Got it.
That way, when you pop the game in, it automatically loads accessibility.
Yep, gotcha.
Danny, yep, I can't find any. Yep, what a bunch of cheap jerks. I'm over here. I'm just getting it less legally, says Word Nerd.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it can be so dumb sometimes.
audiovault.net. Oh, I didn't hear about that one. So audiovault.net for the AVS or audio described, whatever you want to call it, versions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, every law and everything has its own holes, right? Like
Yeah,
most,
of course.
Mm-hmm.
but I still have a hard time with, if one person figures it out, it should automatically become universal. If it helps,
You would think, yeah.
yeah, it's code, like you guys say, right? It's code.
Mhm.
It's not rocket science. I mean, sure, I'm sure you could patent
Right.
certain code for certain devices and things like that. I understand that, but
Apple and Samsung have tried.
oh, I know, because I mean, it's the war. It's being the best. That's how they have to be the best. But sometimes it's not about being the best. The problem with the world today is everybody has to block everybody and to be number one. And it's about just being. If your content, I'll just go right to YouTube. Forget all the bigger stuff. It's not, for me. It's not about being the best in the world. It's about being the best me. And if I have to rely on other people
Mm-hmm.
to help me get there, I'm okay with that, and vice versa. I don't have any secrets. There's nothing that I do that someone may like that I'm not going to share with somebody else. I'll pass any of my information along, and I think the world should be that way. And I know now we're getting into some crazier stuff, but just from the point of view of when it comes to accessibility,
I mean,
doesn't have to be a market.
That's where you get into the argument. I mean, accessibility or mainstream hardware or software, you get the pay $1,000 model versus the open source model.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is kind of
Exactly.
funny because they both seem to work not only fairly similar, but do the same amount of things.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as changing the keystroke to make it different, but the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's not. I mean, you're not reinventing the wheel. You're just saying, oh, instead of hitting these two command keys and this arrow, you have to hit this command key and this arrow.
Yeah.
And it's okay.
And what you can actually do, this is kind of funny, you can actually import your JAWS settings into Nvda so it is just like JAWS.
Oh yeah, I mean, when Windowize was still a thing, that was one of their things that they did. They're like, oh well, we know there's a lot of people. We want to get people to use our stuff, and so they actually made their own JAWS keyboard layout to kind of help. Because Windowize, to be fair, had some really weird.
Yeah, it did.
Weird keyboard command layout, and I never could get the hang of it.
Shift Windows Alt plus W will read a letter. You're like, what? Why so many keys?
I know.
And the funny thing is as long as you build your own name for yourself on how your product is and how well you put the attention to detail in your products, that's what usually gets people hooked. I mean, for me, I'm an Apple guy through and through. Now I have my own reasons and different reasons.
Sure.
It's not because they're mainstream or streamlined or this and that, but there's a lot of people, because of Apple's reputation they built for themselves, that are buying Apple just because it's Apple. So you don't necessarily have to have the best or a copy, a patent thing that no one else could touch unless they pay you. You just have to do what you do better than everybody else and have it look a certain way.
We also have, sure, we got the creator's point of view, but also from YouTube's point of view, I would think a big part of it is cost effectiveness. And so when you got a board that you're responding to, or shareholders that you're responding to completely redo a platform just to add accessibility features, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, because you can't. It's not like a plug and play, right? You just can't go to behind the scenes and be like, add voice description there, add closed captioning
unless
there.
the foundation had already included it in the scripting or the coding. You just can't turn. You have to basically do it from scratch.
But with that said, they do that often.
Who?
All companies. I mean.
Well, they have to now.
Website layouts and just everything about they'll change everything about the layout on different devices, even not just one.
Right.
If you're on you're on a desktop or you're on an iPad, and everybody's always changing their platform, so it's not like they can't do it. They just have to plan ahead. It won't be instantaneous. Maybe it'll take them a couple of years, and they'll fit it into this scheduled release of the new platform.
Yeah.
But they can do it.
Yeah. That's true. Movies too.
Because how many times is everything changed every time you go on a certain website, especially having been there in a while, you're like, what happened? The button used to be here, or the button used to be there. You got to rewrite everything to do that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Got that right.
So, are there any other accessibility features that would need to be implemented for a fully accessible video?
I'm sure
everyone?
there are, but it's so hard to think of, like, no matter how hard you... And that's the thing is, no matter how hard you try, you may end up missing something.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I hear a lot of things, especially in the game accessibility field lately, where the users even will say, like, well, I don't want to support anything until it's totally accessible. Which, true, but at the same time, like, doing something is better than nothing.
It gets the ball
And
started.
What's that?
It gets the ball started.
Right. I mean, would I love everything to be 100%? Absolutely. But like I said, I definitely want to at least, you know, recognize, especially if you can tell that the company is trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you know, I'm thinking really hard, and the biggest thing I'm taking away from this question of yours is I think I need to better educate myself on not only other disabilities, but what's out there on YouTube in general.
Sure.
You know, from the deaf community to autism to, you know, how people record videos in wheelchairs. I mean, like, you know, action, whatever. Like, there's so many different ways that we can explore this to learn what we could add to our videos to make it more accessible and be better advocates for everybody and not just ourselves.
Yeah. That is
Agreed.
true. Plex. Oh.
Now I've got to find time to add that into my day.
See, that's another thing too I was going to eventually get to is like when we take into consideration if, let's just say we become responsible for including accessibility features for everyone across the board. Like even if YouTube had really handy dandy studio feature where it's just an accessibility tab on your upload video tab. You can go through and check the ones that you want to include in your video, and if you have to supply something like audio description or closed captioning, then you can upload the file there. But
in a way, that could be you know, I mean, I know some people, there's an argument, should it just be settings under everything is an accessibility kind of feature, which in a way it is, but I think having that accessibility tab or kind of category, even that can just trigger someone to go, oh, what's under this accessibility thing? And then they can fill it out.
Yep.
Because they'll see that sort of category and go, oh, yeah.
Exactly. But the time, though. Like, think of, okay, so we shoot our video, then we go back and watch it and describe it. Let's just say we're doing it ourselves. Go back, we're watching the video and we're describing it. So right there, we've already gotten 2 times the length of time that we have normally. But then we go through and you have to edit it down, sync up the audio track with the video. And that's just for audio description. And then you go into closed captioning. And then whatever other accessibility, it's going to take us like 4 or 5 days to release one 5-minute video.
Correct.
Well,
and I think that's the biggest problem right there. I know last night I was going to bed and I was like, oh, I forgot to upload the video. Right. And I'm not used to it yet. That took me longer than it should have. I didn't time it per se, but I sat there. I'm like, dang it. Like, so in a situation like that, I wouldn't add anything. I'm just trying to get the video out.
Exactly. There's been a lot of talk whether or not YouTube falls under publisher or platform, right? So as it stands, I believe that it's considered a platform. And so if we are the content creators, you know, for example, Copa, right? We had to make everybody aware that this particular channel is or is not made for kids.
Oh, right. Yep.
So that's on us, right? So would the same thing then apply as far as ADA is concerned? Are we responsible for making our videos ADA compliant?
Well, again, platform to publisher also goes, there was a big thing about the whole Twitter and the president thing where, you know, the minute that YouTube does not or takes down your video for your message because of something you said, they're publishing.
Mm-hmm.
They're publishing at that point because they're
Mhm.
controlling the content that you create. So to say that they're a platform, I wouldn't say that wholeheartedly. I think they're going to make legislation in some more new rules, new laws to add to laws to make them more of a platform. So they're allowed to do certain things like that for certain content. But in my opinion, once you start censoring people, you become a publisher.
Exactly, and that's unfortunately, it is highly politically driven. Ever since Alphabet bought
Yeah.
YouTube, that's how it's been.
Mhm.
If anybody remembers the original YouTube, you could do whatever the f you want, seriously.
Yeah.
And there were no punishments. It wasn't until the second apocalypse that all of a sudden all these changes were very, very evident and in your face. Like, oh, I can't say this. You guys, we get a list from YouTube of stuff that we can and cannot talk about.
Correct. That's publishing.
Yeah. So for them to
And
claim their
that's-
platform is just ridiculous.
And that's partly why, like, I know I'm missing out, and I keep toying with the idea, but like, I have not even. Mine is my channel, Illegally Cited, is basically the most basic of channel. I have my videos, I have my playlists, but I have not even enabled any monetization because I know once I do that, and I try to become a partner and all that, that's when you get all those extra restrictions, and then it's such more of a headache. And like I said, I have a full-time day job, and I've got a couple other projects every now and again, so I'm doing okay. I'm not really relying on YouTube as a to make a living. And so like I would love the extra cash, but I'm weighing it. Is it worth
No.
going through all that extra bullshit?
No. The only thing that would really make it worth it, and you don't have to turn ads on. You could have monetization but not have ads on. But at least that way you could utilize super stickers, super chats, viewer applause, which is a new one. I don't know if everybody has that yet or not. But of course, you've also got like Patreon and PayPal me or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't have to, and YouTube pays you so little.
Little.
I've received
Right.
3 paychecks of 160 or lower since the time my channel's been monetized.
Well, and that's just it. Is like, yeah, and that's what everybody says too. Is you have all these avenues of like Patreon and or like it's funny because I've tweeted once or twice in the past where it's like I kind of jokingly say I feel like I'm interneting wrong because everyone now they're doing like, and I don't want to be like a corporate drone either. It's like everybody. Oh, they're hawking merchandise. They're getting sponsors. They're come visit my Patreon, give me money. Like, it's just like, I don't want to be one of those channels that's like, well, you can buy merch, you can use my sponsors, you can give me money for subscription. I don't know. I feel a little dirty.
There's a lot
at
of
the
people
same
that feel
time,
that way, Jesse. But
I feel like I'm doing it wrong if I don't. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm interneting wrong.
Danny.
Patreon has been around forever.
Yeah, it's
even
been
before the internet. Patreon has been around before the interwebs. So, this is an art. And if you approach it in that way, there's a lot of artists that will support other artists. That's the first and foremost. Creating a brand and creating something, that people can enjoy and follow along with. It is a gray area. There's a lot of people that have a problem with it. I mean, I, for one, support it and do it myself.
I don't have
at a small
problem
level.
I don't have it's not that I don't have a problem with it. It's just, do I really think, I enjoy what I do. I like helping people, and would I like to get something out of it? Sure, I suppose, but I just don't really know that at this point, like, do I really want to ask people for money?
Well, it's not really asking for money. I've discovered this. You could ask for money. However, we rarely do, but we get money. And it's just because someone will go that extra length. And that's the type of viewer or subscriber that I want, is someone that doesn't need to be asked or told to donate if they can. And that's why I don't ask, because especially nowadays, who knows if they can.
Exactly.
But like another feature, channel memberships. That's actually way more profitable than any other YouTube offers. You get 70% versus 30% of everything else. Super sticker, super chat, viewer applause. So if you get channel memberships, that's where the money starts coming in quicker.
And there's a difference between monetizing at 1,000 and monetizing at 50,000, let's say.
Oh yeah.
So,
Oh,
you know, you can
absolutely.
always look at your content. Like for me, my goal with YouTube is many different things. And I would be lying if I said one of them is not to make money. I would love to build a brand, a business solely based off inspiring and motivating and encouraging and educating, all of that. As long as those principles, I keep those principles no matter what it is I do.
Oh, sure.
I'm okay, because you know you're in a great field, Jesse, right? And you know the thing is that for a lot of people, we've had conversations about how hard it is to find a job. If you can build a brand and build a business where you're in control of your destiny, that's the best thing you can do as a disabled person.
Yep, I completely agree. Danny says something about, oh, where'd it go? Shit box. There we go. I don't know. She was saying something about something is more, or updates and something's more accessible. I was going to ask her what that was all about, but the chat skipped.
Yeah, the chat's been acting funny lately.
Yeah.
I had a major issue the other night.
Yeah, and I mean, I would be lying. You know, like I said, I would be lying if I said, you know, yeah, I would love to, you know, turn a combination of doing YouTube and streaming and also this advocacy and consulting work, you know, game and tech accessibility. I would be lying if I said that I didn't want to make money and I wouldn't love to do that as a career, because I absolutely would. But realistically, I'm like, if it happens somehow miraculously, I'm totally cool with it. But I just, you know, realistically, yeah.
Realistically, it's probably more work than you're doing now. And I tell that to myself all the time, because the amount of effort, even from a smallest point of view, depending on what it is that you're creating, YouTube is no joke. Even live streaming, like really preparing eCam and doing it's a lot of work. And a lot of people, young people, sit there and say, I'm going to be a YouTuber and I'm going to be a millionaire and it's going to be easy. I get to do all this fun stuff. It's so much work. They don't realize what goes into it.
Yep. I'm going to be a professional gamer and I'm going to win $40,000 a tournament. Good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah.
Very few people are going to be able to do that. I'm not saying you can't, but boy, the competition is going to be fierce.
You got to intertwine Twitter, Instagram, all this has to be so harmonious throughout the whole thing. You can't just say, I'm a YouTuber. That's it. Like you got to, how do you advertise? YouTube's not fully doing it for you. So you got to get out there and do all platforms and tags and
I'm not even all that great about that myself. Like I don't use I mean, I have a Facebook account, but I don't like it. So I never use it. And so I choose not to use that platform, but I'm very heavily involved in YouTube and Twitter are my two major things. And then a little bit of Twitch for streaming.
It's crazy because we still have the stigma out there. Like if you go out in public and someone asks you, what do? You say, I'm a YouTuber. They're like, oh, oh, that's cute.
How? Yeah.
It's like, no, you don't understand.
You mean a podcast? No, YouTube.
You'd be better off saying a podcast now.
Isn't it video?
Yeah. And that's the thing is I do a lot of this in my spare time. I don't do this like all day, every day, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Danny says that we content creators are providing content and entertainment, so not a service. It's fine to want compensation for that. I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
The way I see it, though, and I think this is a good kind of balance that we can keep ourselves at, is the fact that up to this point, or up until the point of monetization, we've been doing videos. So at that point, we didn't need money to do videos. So anything else from this point on is extra, and I see it as a bonus or a reward because someone likes my content that much.
Right.
Sure.
So technically, I guess I don't do it for money, but I get paid for it.
And that's the thing is I have toyed with the idea and I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I haven't decided if I'm gonna, if I ever was gonna do like a Patreon or something instead of doing like the YouTube stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things I've thought about, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I really want to do.
Well, Blind Toad says he's not going to monetize. He's not.
Fight the power. Oh,
Shine
sorry.
says-
Yeah, I mean, there's many different ways to make money off YouTube. There's
Oh,
tons
God,
of videos
yeah.
out there. You can make money on YouTube by talking about how to make money not using YouTube on
Right.
YouTube. Is that confusing enough?
Right.
So,
Mhm.
so I mean, there's so much out there, but I know for the kind of content that I want to create and that I'm trying to create in the future, in order for me to really make that a full-time gig, I got to have time and money to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's
Sure
how
do.
all this stuff starts. I watched a guy walk out of his job with a cell phone, start shooting video, live in his van, and people liked him so much within a year to 2 years, he's fully funded.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and
but
yeah,
I have
you
kids. I
can
can't
do
just walk
it.
out and just do that. But
No,
I would love to travel and do adventure videos.
Yeah.
But
Jesse.
Right. No. What?
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say no. You can do that, but I've been just dirt poor before, and
Yeah.
so like I don't like. I'm not gonna just I'm gonna quit my job and then
right.
unless I have something else already in mind that I know is at least going to be a kind of a sure thing or kind of a good thing. Yeah, we're not going to live that way again. It was
Maybe we could do a
brutal.
Kickstarter.
I'll do. Shine has a question for you, Jesse.
Okay.
How do I make awareness of accessible for gaming? It's worded kind of weird, but basically, I guess, how does he create awareness
Advocate
for
for it.
accessible gaming?
There really isn't a set way, I would say. The main thing is like you can do it any number of ways. You can talk to fellow gamers, sighted non-disabled gamers. You can go to conferences. You can go to things. Well, when the world actually opens up again, you can go to things like PAX or any number of conferences. You could, there's local things. Like last year, I joined our local Independent Game Developers Association, IGDA, and they have monthly meetings in our city. And if there's a game that you want to be able to play, reach out to game developers and say, hey, via Twitter, social media, or if you find an email on their website, you can kind of do that sort of a thing. The other thing that I just found, I forget who pointed me to it on Twitter, but a couple months ago, they pointed me to a site, GamesPress, I think it's gamespress.com or gamepress.com. I forget exactly which one. But you have to sign up for it, and then they have to approve you because you have to be, prove that you're doing some sort of like a legit coverage. So that may not apply to your average gamer, but if you are doing like a gaming, let's say a regular, not just every once in a while, but like a regular Twitch stream or regular YouTube videos that are focused on gaming, which is kind of where I'm coming from, they did approve me. And one of the cool things about that is, you kind of get access to some of the information that is harder to find about companies. So if you're covering things and, and you're wanting to do research, if you're approved, you can go in and look and say, hey, I want to find the contact for EA or Microsoft or Ubisoft, and sometimes they're categorized even deeper. So, there's any number of ways, and that's been so helpful for me in the last couple of months.
Danny, if you'd send me the link to that Plex, I'll check it out real quick. Apparently, Plex is some kind of online server where you can host your own media.
Yeah, I've played with Plex a little bit, but it's been a couple years.
Okay.
Plex is basically you can run, like, let's say you have a whole bunch of movies on your computer, or if you have a spare computer, just dump something on your hard drive, put Plex on there, and then you set up that computer as a server, and then I would protect it I would put a password and stuff on it. But then, yeah, you can go get the Plex iOS app or use another computer, or sometimes set-top boxes or consoles will have a Plex app. And then you just log into that address, you log into that computer, and then you can stream all of your media from anywhere.
Like, so someone else could access it as well as on.
If you gave them your Plex info, you could. I can't remember if you can. I don't know that it's really meant for that, because I can't remember. Like I said, it's been a couple of years. I don't remember if you can set up like sub accounts for people to log into, but it's mainly meant for you to access your content anywhere. So like if I had a bunch of videos and I went to visit my parents, but I at night I'm bored, I want to stream some video that I have on my hard drive, I could.
Right.
That's
Thanks, Jesse.
primarily what it's supposed to be used for anyway.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that'd be interesting. Yeah, I was thinking like, well, all the people that's trying to access your DNS, you're gonna have a pretty big server if you want to start sharing your files, and then of course you get into copyright and all that.
Yeah, I would not use it as a share with the public, because that can go wrong in a whole bunch of different ways.
Correct.
Don't no.
Yeah.
I do not endorse that frame of thought.
So I guess we have nothing else as far as other accessibilities. We've only got like 3 communities covered.
And that's why I
Blind,
said in
deaf,
my last statement, like you challenged me a little bit. I got to find time to accept this challenge, but I want to investigate more from the YouTube perspective of what's out there, who's making content, what is it like, and what do they need?
Yeah. And I guess I thought of, if you're looking at, some sort of instructional video where you're trying to teach something, or you're trying to present something where, you're trying to convey some sort of information, presenting the information, like I said, avoiding the flashing for epilepsy, but then also thinking about, let's represent, if I have like a diagram, or if I'm trying to present something, having it kind of colorblind friendly. So a lot of people, if they're red, blue colorblind, or, those types of things, like in games, what they'll do is they'll have a different texture or a shape as well as color, so that there's more than one way to differentiate visually things that are different colors.
If anybody in the chat has any ideas of what could be implemented, if there's a fully accessible video, what would you guys suggest in the chat as far as that goes? Because this is an interesting little rabbit hole we went down, so I'm kind of curious now. Like, if you think about,
very curious.
The Last of Us 2 has over 60 accessibility features, and here we got 3 that we can think of. It's like, wait, you got 60? I mean, yeah, sure. Right. There's a lot of the HUDs or the UIs for the players themselves.
Yeah, and even like sliders, navigation and buttons.
Yeah, so you can change a lot of that stuff. But I kind of want to get an idea for, so like, we are blind, we would need magnification or a screen reader. They are deaf, they would need closed captioning. They are blank and they need blank. What else do we got? So
yeah, because besides deaf, blind, and mute, when it comes to video, what?
That would suck trying to use Siri if you're mute.
Right? There you go.
That would be frustrating.
Siri, you can use text as well.
Yeah.
You can type it in.
So, I mean, when I think of accessibility when it comes to video, those are probably the 3 disabilities I think of. But there's so many different disabilities out there that I don't know about. I'm not educated on. I don't know, but I'm curious now.
I mean, even like cognitively, I think you could say things like, if you are wanting to cover like a whole giant topic, maybe breaking things down into either chapters or even separate videos, keeping, if it's something you're trying to get the audience to learn something, let's say I'm doing a screen reader tutorial, but if somebody has trouble remembering that kind of a thing, only introduce 1 or 2 topics per video.
Right.
to make things more manageable. That's definitely an cognitive accessibility issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. There's also I'm trying to go through the accessibility features in my head of iOS or OS X, and I'm thinking of like motor skills.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
also now have Catalina has the eye tracker, basically, where you can control the computer using your eyes.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a trip. So I don't know. That seems like a lot of work to be able to implement into our own video content. So I think, I guess
We're almost forced to stick in our own genre sometimes.
Exactly. Because I don't want, this is the thing, like, I don't want to appeal to just one crowd. Like, if I have information that people
Right.
would need to hear or want to hear, I don't want to be specific and have the whole video audio described or have the whole video just closed captioned or whatever. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a doozy. I don't know what I would do.
Well, just like blindness being a spectrum, I mean, my slogan for my channel is a spectrum. I just, when I say advocate, educate, motivate, and inspire, I'm not just talking about blindness. I want that across the board, whether you don't have any disabilities or not. There's things that in your life that need to be advocated, and one of the ways you can advocate is by, just like the gentleman that asked Jesse the question, is find a way to do it yourself and showcase it. Let people know that it's possible.
That's
That's sometimes easier said than done, and I get it, especially when it comes to the video game world. But find someone that's going to help you with it.
That's the biggest thing.
Network.
If we had that starting point, for example, last year when I freaked out because Hangouts no longer could link to YouTube, I'm like, what the? I had to find a way myself. No one had any ideas how to go live on YouTube using a screen reader, blah, blah, blah. I found a bunch of ways. But anyway, when you discover it yourself, not only do you have a lot of personal inner reward, but it starts the ball going, like you said, is that it can be done here, so why not across the board?
Right. And networking is one of the number one ways to advocate, by the way, because there's going to be other people that have different talents and could reach different areas of the world than you can.
Yeah.
So you just really got to network and put yourself out there. And that's what's great about YouTube. That's what I've always loved about YouTube.
Yeah. Indeed. Let me check the chat, see if there's any other accessibility features we should add to the list. No. None.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller.
Nice.
I have that sound clip somewhere.
Classic.
They got apps for Plex. That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
have the iOS app, but like I said, I haven't had a Plex server in ages. So
that's interesting.
I don't remember. And I'm sure it's been updated tons since then, so do not know.
So what I'm working on in the future, you guys and everybody in the chat, is pornography. I'm gonna be doing.
You waited till the end to drop this now, right?
Yeah, well, I had to. I was gonna be like, hey, you guys want to do an after show? Whatever. So the stories that I'm working on in the near future, I don't know if anybody remembers, but a couple years ago, I covered the dude that was suing Playboy because their website was not accessible, and I had a whole video that I did live where I completely debunked his lawsuit. I don't know if they ever did anything with it or not. So then I found another one where someone says their shop is not accessible. And I proved him wrong in about 5-6 minutes, and I got myself a black Playboy hoodie coming. So that shop is accessible. So I'm going to be putting that together along with the suggested content by a subscriber. Pornhub.com. They've got described videos. And I'm actually working on interviewing the person that wrote the article. blindpornhub.com. So that should be interesting. Interesting topic.
I'm still weird, a little bit eerie about that whole thing, but yeah.
I just think it's going to be totally awkward. I've never even
certain
seen
things.
one.
Certain things don't need to be described to me in my mind. Just
exactly. It needs to
I
just
don't.
be
Yeah,
experienced.
yeah.
Like you when you had Sight, Whistler, do you remember Ron Jeremy?
Ron Jeremy from Sublime.
No, he was the porn star that was like made it into mainstream
Yeah, yeah.
movies and he made a big name for himself
I
and all
knew
that.
the name, but I couldn't think of.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
terrible at
I
names.
definitely
What it's
would
got.
not want to hear them audio describe that man.
No.
These are things that I'm
No.
like,
No.
I don't know if I'd go to that site at all,
No.
ever.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't. There's sound of it naturally, I guess unnatural for some people, is fine. But when you start adding in other people describing to you that's kind of like someone's in the room with you watching it. And it's just creepy.
Or
Creepy, awkward, whatever
Yeah.
adjective you want to put in there. No, thank you.
and
No,
then
thank
there's
you.
the
Drive
moment you
through.
click on the video and you hear
Next, please. Next one. Now we can go on there. But yeah, we'll see if I get that interview with Aria, who's from California as well.
awesome.
Yeah, so that's what I got going on for the future. What about you guys? Never mind, I don't care.
Well, what do I have going on? Like I said, I usually try to stream something at least once per weekend. Usually Saturday or Sunday, oftentimes Saturdays. I do have videos going up on the YouTube channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Wednesday and Saturday are my main videos, and then Mondays are kind of archives of, they used to be kind of, I used to call them Mixer Mondays because that's where I streamed, but as of the 22nd, Mixer has been officially shut down, so sad, but I actually really rather liked Mixer, but so I've been poking around with Twitch a little bit there, but otherwise, yeah, it's gonna be working from home and working on other projects. I've got a whole bunch of other just odds and end projects going on, and the channel and stream, and God only knows what'll happen next.
Nice, thank you.
I'm everywhere.
Well, thanks for coming on, Jesse. I appreciate it. And
Yeah,
if you guys have not seen it, Jason did a really cool video that he put up today. I think it was this morning. The days run together. But anyway, the home, the outdoor home, ... You'll have to go check it out on his channel, Independently Blind. What do you got going on, Jay?
Man, so I'm finally hitting that rhythm I've been trying to hit forever.
Nice.
So now that I got that momentum going, I'm going to be recording just a lot. I'm constantly thinking of videos that I can create. One I'm going to be shooting this weekend is a studio remodel. Nice. So that will be coming out shortly. Obviously, I got another video be launching Monday that I'm working on editing right now. That'll be my commute to work on the 08 electric scooter. I didn't fall, so obviously it will come out.
Score one.
Yeah, I finally found a pretty fun way to commute and be safe, and I showcased that in that video, so that'll be interesting to watch. So just continuing, finding ways during this pandemic to start making the adventure videos I've always wanted to do and find creative ways to do it.
Nice. Right on. Let's see if the chat has anything to add. Probably not. No. Let me refresh it just in case. It's been stuck on blind toes. Especially when you count. Oh, he said something about. Where'd he go? Shine says, thanks, Jesse.
Not a problem.
Creating YouTube videos is a lot of work, especially on the back end after you make a video. Oh yeah. I wish it used to be where you can add things all at once when you're uploading. This is one thing that I don't like about the new uploader is you have to wait until everything is done to add cards. You have to wait until everything is done to make any significant changes. Category, for example, can't be done until after the fact. So we're pretty much stuck now. This is how I do it. I upload a video and I set it to unlisted. And then once it's
Yep.
done processing, I'll go back in and make all the changes I want to do in one shot. And then I'll publish it or schedule it.
Yeah.
It's just so much.
I'm learning all that. Cards, I get it all. I just need to learn how to do it. Thumbnails I know are key, and I have different apps that I know I can make them. But I'm be honest with you, I'm horrible at it. And it's something I need to take some time and focus in on. And it's a lot of work. People don't realize it's not just having a camera and saying, "Hi, my name is so and so, and this is what I'm showing you today."
Even the simple thing of adding at the end, where you can add, your subscribe button, you can add recently uploaded videos, whatever, to the carts, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is, screen readers, we cannot change those timelines, the bar timelines, to reposition those cards.
Oh.
So how people make a video and they say, like, above my head now is the card, and then when you're editing it, you go back to that spot, pause it, and then that's where you put the card. But that doesn't work with screen readers.
And admittedly, like I said, that just like you there, I need to be better about that, but I basically do. I might do a couple little minor edits, but largely that's almost what I do. What you said that you shouldn't do is kind of what I do. I record, I check the balances and everything, and then guess what? It's up there.
Yep.
I know a lot of successful YouTubers that do it simple.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I'm a simpleton.
You don't have to be. I mean, I want to be, but it depends on the video, really.
Oh yeah.
The message.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Jason, when is your gear video going to come out? Oh yeah, that's right. When is that damn video coming out?
Oh, it's on the docket. You're talking about the GoPro?
I think so. The last time you did a video, when you did the review of the bag.
Yeah, so I'm going to do a whole GoPro video. I'm going to try to shoot that this weekend. That was on the docket for this weekend to shoot, but I have to get the studio up and going, so that's going to take precedent. For many reasons, it has to take precedent. So it's definitely coming out. I have it all laid out. I'm going to go the best that I can in depth on the GoPro, because as much as there are a ton of things I love and are positive about it, there's some negative too.
Okay. Sounds good.
I've always sort of been curious about something like the GoPro, not necessarily because I go a lot of places, but there are things where, like, depending on what I'm doing, I either think about a GoPro or some sort of a tripod for my phone or something, because I don't have a fancy camera, but I want to be able to do more things if I do technology. Like right now, I hold everything, I hold my phone in one hand and then try to do whatever with the other hand. And I kind of want to be hands-free.
We could make your iPhone. Whistler has a great product, a chest harness for your phone.
Oh, yeah.
I have a killer mini tripod that would work great for you as well.
I bought a tripod.
You could totally turn your iPhone or cell phone into a media beast.
Right. But the thing is, one of the things with that is I want to be able to, I would like to be able to see it. Like, I don't want it necessarily like on my chest, because I want to be able to make sure that I have whatever in frame. So I want to be able to look and use the screen as the viewfinder.
Right. Watch my GoPro video. I'm going to go into some of that, and you can maybe, that's one of the coolest features about the GoPro that I like, is its flexibility with the app, as well as the many different ways you can mount it.
Yeah. Very good.
So many ways. They even have dog harness mounts.
Yeah.
It's crazy, all the stuff that they offer.
It's really cool.
Very cool.
What I've noticed too is, like, you can actually buy clamps for your phone or whatever that has that GoPro attachment, so you could actually plug or mount your phone to your GoPro mounts.
Oh, that's even cool too. Yeah. It's just, I'm kind of with Jesse. The thing that steers me away from that, because at the end of the day, the iPhone, and maybe an Android, I don't know Android, I can't speak for them, is the most accessible, friendly camera, video recorder, you name it,
Yeah.
And it
device
shoots good
out there
video.
for the blind. Period.
Yeah.
It's
But
good video
I have a
too.
problem.
That's the thing.
What's that?
I said it shoots good video too. That's the
Oh,
thing.
It's amazing. My
I'm
only
totally
problem with
happy
it
with
is I use my phone for everything, and I don't feel comfortable mounting my
Oh yeah.
You don't wanna
$1,300
involve it or
iPhone
something?
onto something that I keep picturing it going boom.
Yeah, I can respect that.
A GoPro's $399 on sale. You know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah, my phone I think was over $1,000 when I got mine because
Exactly.
I got the Biggin 10s Max.
Hmm. Yeah. So whatever works. I mean, the thing is if it works for you, you have to deal with it. If it don't, because there's plenty of cameras you could buy, Canon, Sony, that are more than what a phone is. So you can literally buy an extra phone and it can be.
Yeah,
your
everyone talks about
camera.
DSLRs and
Right.
but yeah, nah.
Yeah.
Well, cool, fellas. Unless you guys want to talk about anything else, we can wrap
No,
it up.
I actually got to go.
Cool.
It's Friday night.
Sound good. Friday night. Oh, you gonna watch Family Matters or Full House or something?
I do
TGIF,
have some
man.
episodes of Full House I need to catch up on.
It's Friday night and I have no plans whatsoever because I'm cool like that.
Right?
Think I'll do some research for blind porn.
Yeah,
Are you doing the experiment
want-
if it makes
I
you go
don't
blind or
wanna-
not?
I
I could say a lot of different things, but I'll behave.
I really don't want to. Let's see if I get in touch with what's her face Arya, then I don't have to, go that deep into the story and say like, okay, this is the experience that I had, which is kind of limpish, I could say. But if I just talk to somebody like Arya, then be like, yeah, what do you offer? How is it received? Blah blah blah, and never address the actual blind porn issue.
Right.
Anybody in the chat, if you guys want to go check out the described versions for me, that'd be awesome. Give me your feedback. Thanks. Pornhub.com, just like descriptive videos.
That's insane.
Kinda, yeah.
So other than that, I've got nothing.
Neither do I.
No, I don't think
Except
so.
that-
I'm good.
Fun
Alright,
and
guys.
amazing show, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming
That's
on.
cool.
And again, next week will be the will work for no. We'll
We'll
see
work for food.
We'll see for work. That's it. We'll see for work will be the social cue episode next week. And hopefully
I do have one more thing I forgot before I get out of here too.
What is it?
I forgot to thank everybody for watching Theory of a Blind Jedi. Thank you.
Asshole.
It's illegally cited.
Right?
Illegally blind Jedi.
There you go.
There we go.
We're gonna start mash up all the names. Anyway,
Right.
thank you all for being in the chat and contributing. It's been a blast. Until next time, this is the Theory of Blind Man. Don't forget, love is blind. Keep it blind.